Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Peanut gallery, happy. Yeah, there's people.
Online.
Oh, okay.
They didn't want to probably come out. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to come out either. Especially at the shows.
What does it make it funny with the show? Is that what it's down to?
Yeah, I guess it's school, right? Sort of late. Yeah, that's what Vogue said. The Vogue weather watching.
Okay, we left off at 4:11 at the fire company's presentation. So I guess we'll just continue on down. Hopefully we can knock it off quick.
He's on down the road.
Yep. So the next line item is 413-310 and professional services building code. And it's budgeted for 290,000. And I'm wondering why we think it's going to be less. We got a lot going on. Unless they lower their fee.
They most definitely did not. I'm sorry, you said 413.
310. Professional
Oh, there it is,
services
there it is.
BC officer.
This was raised. This should be sitting at 290.
Pardon?
This should be sitting at 290.
It is the
It
26.
is, but it's been consecutively higher, and I'm just wondering why we think it's going to be lower. How do we?
That was the solar farm. Good evening.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, the solar farm in Core 5.
Solar farm.
Core 5 is going to have a chunk of it, but we believe the Core 5 chunk is going to come in the beginning of 2027.
Okay. So you're comfortable with that, with all the new apartments going in?
Yeah, those permits aren't going to be
Yeah, so
applied for until they're ready to put a shovel in the ground.
we don't foresee either Brookstead or Cranberry Run being completed until 2027. You'll see that Cranberry Run, Brookstead is on the agenda tomorrow for another year extension.
Okay. And anybody jump in if you have a line item that you don't like. The next one I have is 414-310. Same question. It was higher last year, but zoning services. We don't think they'll be busier with all our new ordinances.
Yeah, we should probably knock that up with a lot of these changes. If that TDU ordinance goes through for the life, health, safety for the hotels, that will be time consuming. So either 95 or 100.
I was going to say,
If we
make it
gotta
100.
update, I mean, any of these changes,
Yeah.
the zoning rewrite completely as well. So would everyone be comfortable with 100 or?
Sure.
Can I just offer something on those lines? So we are close to having an ordinance for the board for the fog, for the fats, oils, and grease that we've discussed. And in speaking with the zoning office, if there were going to be other inspections, i.e. related to the hotel motel, and I don't know where that is, but if there were, we may, to save residents cost and the township cost, be able to maybe combine into like an annual inspection. Just something I was thinking about, where they could do the fats, oils, and grease and the room inspection.
TDU, yeah.
So something to think about if we're going to go in that direction. I know it's premature, but keep that in mind.
Why did zoning, planning, and legal has been like ramping up significantly since 2021? It went from 28 to 72, and we have it budgeted for 65 this year. Why has it gone up so much in just the last few years?
It's a mixture of things. Back in 2021, obviously, we're coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
Building was at a almost slowed, complete shutdown. Also, that falls under Nancy Sarcinello for this whole zoning ordinance rewrite. They've been
Okay.
working on it for 2 years, and hopefully we can finish this year. But you know, there's a lot of professional services during these. You know, you'll see 2 engineers, 2 planning, Nancy, and solicitors. So.
I see, 432.22. I see that's higher, but we might very well, I guess, be higher. We've had more snow so far than we've had in quite a while. Does that
So-
look reasonable, Pat?
We have, and unfortunately, as I was saying to Charles a short while ago, it's not always measured in inches either. Like this last episode, there's what, maybe 8 inches on the ground total. But because it was so prolonged and it was on and off, they're going over the roads multiple times, putting a lot of material down. So we are off to we're off to an above average start toward the
Okay.
Yeah, that's for sure.
This is somewhere I'd definitely rather see us over budgeted. The last thing we want is to run out of salt. I mean, and especially like if we get to a pinch towards the end of the winter and we're getting surge pricing or something. Well, we're contracted in, right? We can't they can't raise their prices on stuff like that,
Correct.
can they?
We have the cog price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and that's done on an annual basis through the county cog. Another thing that we've converted to, I don't know, 2020 around there, was we converted to on spots. Those are the on-demand chains that will fold down and they ride the tire and it spins a chain rather than the guys having to put chains on the tires, which was a significant expense. So those on spots are built in during the truck outfit. So when we replace chain, instead of replacing 60 feet of chain per tire, it's maybe 12 feet.
You put those on school buses.
Mhm.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, fire trucks have them as
Yeah,
well.
we got them. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Good, you just gotta be careful, because if you go over something that doesn't have enough clearance, you can bend them. They're fixable, but yeah, as opposed to just the change, you just have to worry about that.
My next one, unless somebody has something before it, is 454.36.
I did just wanted to ask about the 433, 450 traffic light signal contracted services. Is that Green Light Go? Or is that something else?
No, that is our contractor that we use, Signal Service.
That went way up last year and then it looks like it's coming back down this year, but not to where it's been in the past. Is there a reason that we had so high last year? Is it?
It's mostly because of the changes with the part of it is with the changes with the Green Light Go adaptations versus the construction, and you'll see that some of that is higher than usual. We had a couple accidents where they had taken out our traffic light, and we go and fight their insurance company to get that money back, but.
But we're not expecting it to stay at that level this year. We're expecting it to go back down because it looks like it's 10 grand or so that it's down from last year.
Yeah, I mean, so they still do our annual inspection as per PennDOT. We're required to have a yearly inspection on all intersections, so they perform that for us. I perform the inspections under the emergency management function of certifying all the interceptors, the emitters that prioritize green light for the first responders. So we do save money on that. And Public Works guys have taken over the battery testing and battery backup. So we're slowly trying to get back into it as the guys get trained on these new systems.
Awesome.
So park utilities, 454.36. Last year, was 21,000 and this year we're budgeting 9,000. I'm not sure.
We're running that fountain all winter too, aren't we? Do we need to be running that fountain all winter? I heard it's to aerate the fish, but like, doesn't that water come from the stream? Isn't our coming in aerated already?
So a little bit of both. Those fountains are designed for the winter. They're not actually meant to be removed. Number two, it should be unplugged already. So PennDOT is relocating that pipe that feeds that from the stream. So you'll actually see the water in the pond drop significantly over the next 2 weeks, and that's hoping that it can be done, that we don't have any snow. I don't know if anybody's seen the forecast for next Saturday, but
Another weekend.
they're forecast for another foot of snow. So yeah.
All weekend again.
So obviously that's going to significantly delay PennDOT. But yes, I mean the TLC fountain is on a timer that shuts off late at night. Obviously that's shut down for the winter. All the other fountains are shut down for the winter now as well. But we do have a RiseNet with the fountains, because we always had 2 fountains in there. They were just upgraded from that PMVB grant. And we also added the split system into the park up at the top. So just to reflect the added utility.
I have air conditioning up there.
But we're $12,000 less in our budget than what we spent last year. How are we saving that? Or should we bump that up?
360. Okay.
Up at 20?
Yeah.
I would think, I just think.
18 or
closer.
20.
Just do 20.
Especially not knowing the split system being the first year, we'll see that. Shouldn't be too much, but
Yeah.
The
That one
events and stuff we're doing now too, like running those bounce houses. I bet those suck a lot of energy too.
we do. Big time.
What is park contracted services?
Playground inspection, I know, is part of that. Gina would know better. Gina called out sick today. She's got an issue with her vertigo.
That's
is the Porta Johns in there probably.
Yeah, porta potties is also part of that.
okay.
Um,
The Porta Johns.
And then-
Uh-huh.
454.7 Park Recreation Board. They were just an advisory board, but we're giving them $20,000. What is that for? Not that we're giving them, but we allocated 20,000 to the park board. In the past, our park board did have their own budget, but we didn't authorize that yet.
457, 450.
454,700.
See that.
It's the last one on. It's the last of the 454s, right?
The last 454 I got is 460.
It's not on the printouts, but it's on the,
Yeah, it's on here.
it's on your sheet.
It was on the original budget.
Let me pull up the,
That might have been a line item that we changed. I mean, we have $20,000 as part of our community events, 457, 450. Or community day celebration.
Oh, okay, maybe you just moved it. Yep, that's fine. I'll move it down there.
So is that's for the events that we throw?
You
Yes.
see what we did?
We also use the sponsorships as part of that as well.
So, but it was
Community
62,000 last year.
There's
for
another,
community events.
what,
for
under community
47,
events?
450.
Yeah.
Oh, I
The
see.
62
Correct.
last year, and then what were we actually at 25? What was the ending number?
For 25, I don't know.
For the community events, the 457, 450, what was the final number for 25?
$75,643.
So. We have budgeted 20,000, and how much is that offset with sponsorships?
The rest of that comes from sponsorships.
So
So-
we're anticipating 55,000 in sponsorships this year?
We're expecting a little bit less. We have less expenses this year for capital stuff. We're fulfilled on our tents and some of the, like for the movies and whatnot, we can play them in here now versus having to utilize JP Lilly to rent a screen and a projector. You know, that's $2,200 a shot. We also plan on bringing 28 events to this building and this campus this year. So that will cut down on some expenses as well.
Just a lot of events, 80 grand.
So-
Without any
Yeah,
guarantee of sponsorships coming back.
this 20 isn't net of sponsorships, right? This is gross.
No, this is just what comes from the general fund to help with township events, whether something does or doesn't come in, like we said at the last budget workshop.
But
Donations
reality
are
is it could
down.
Be 80,000, because I mean, at the end of the day, even if there's no sponsorships, we're still throwing the event, so it should be $80,000. You can't rely on sponsorships.
Correct. I mean,
And then comes in my second where that's way too many events, and 80 grand of taxpayer money is kind of crazy.
well, that's where I would.
That 80 grand
if-
isn't counting like park staff either time, right? That's just
So
that's
the
just
so,
like the
Cost of-
so
that's just like
where you
mix
seeing
of
that
the-
75, the overtime from Public Works or the non-uniform employees, that is accounted for that. So when they are on overtime, that does come out of that budget line item.
Oh, so that covers.
So then 20,000 is pretty light then for that.
Yeah, I mean, so ever since it got put in 2018, it's fluctuated anywhere from 3,000, you know, but we only had one event at that time. And it's been at 17,000 since 2023. So we boosted.
More events, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, I mean, we have 32 events forecasted for next year.
Am I looking at the wrong line? Because I see 75 last year. Where are we getting 80 from? And
80 was the recommendation from.
okay.
I was just saying, because we added more events.
Yeah, I mean, it seems
So
like it would be. I would expect unless we've already, you know, expensed. Like I know you were saying, like the tents and stuff, dude. But those we rent, right? We don't know.
No,
we own. the
Oh, we do
tents.
own it.
Yeah,
What did
so
we
we don't
buy
have
those
to
last
rent.
year? Is that why that's so high? Or
So we don't have to run.
Well, I mean, don't forget the overtime's wrapped up in that. But obviously, you know, we don't know what we're going to get in the sponsorship. So obviously, as the sponsorship money does or doesn't come in, we would, you know, filter out events, unneeded events, I guess you could say.
I think though. I think that line item should say 80 though. It can't say 20 when in worst case scenario, if we don't get a penny of scholarships, you already have the events planned for the year. It's gonna cost 80 grand. On trend,
Yeah.
you know, 62 to 75, so
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
I
mean-
guess the question is, do we want to spend 80 grand on events,
I
right?
know.
No.
I don't.
Yeah.
I listen, some of the events are spectacular. The touch a truck, like the trunk or treat, the big ones are great. I think some of the smaller ones though, that doesn't have a good turnout, even the concert in the park, like I loved the concert in the park 2 years when we first started it. This past year, the turnout was very low.
Yeah.
It's very low, and it costs a lot of money to put that event on.
I
Maybe
think we
one,
had rain.
I think having one every single month might just be too much.
Yes.
I mean, something. I'm just saying, some not like. Some of the events are free. So it's like the nature walks at Mountain View, those are free. All you're paying is the staff member. It's usually Jen, right? So you're paying Jen to do that walk, and that's nature, it's kids, those are great, but things that cost a lot of money. We
So,
should really look at.
As an average, concerts in the park cost about 3,000 a concert. Between labor and everything else.
Bark Creek making, because their stand's never busy for food, like the beer vendors, like. Are the vendors even making enough money to want to continue coming out to these events?
We haven't lost any vendors yet, but
So do we want to budget it in case we get sponsorships, then we run, and then if you don't get sponsorships, then you don't?
I think we should budget it lower and hope if we get sponsorships, then we can do more. But I don't think we should budget. I don't think we should budget more and then hope the sponsorships can make it better. I'd rather budget down and then try to have the sponsorships make up the balance.
well, then that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but we have to show the expense separate from the income.
Yeah.
I mean, so we can't net this line. You have to have income and and the actual expense.
But I mean, I think right now we don't have any guarantee on sponsorships. The events are pre-planned. They've already been advertised. So
Uh-huh.
you need to advertise at $80,000 for this year, at least for budget purposes. If we roll anything back, then good.
Right.
But worst case scenario, if we don't, and we keep on track of everything that's already been advertised, we're spending 80 grand. Don't want to, but I'm just saying that's the reality right now.
Yeah.
But we bought some stuff in the past couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of
Quite a
the trend that she's talking about, right? So it should.
The audio system, the tents, lights, stuff for the spooky walk,
So then you continue to need.
trailer, stage.
Stage.
I mean, I
Do we want to do like 50? Or do you want to, well, you could
Meet
put
in the middle.
80, or you can put 80 and we don't have to spend it.
No.
I mean, I think that we should.
think
I
60
think
would be
what-
safe.
I think whatever number we put on is fine, but I
Yeah.
really think that we should track the sponsorships because I would really like to see how much money came in last year of sponsorship money versus the amount that we spent on the event. And same thing with this year.
So last year was 53,000.
If
in
we
sponsor-
think that we spent
sponsorships.
75.
Yeah.
So it cost us $22,000 for the events.
And again, there were supplies built into that we won't need this year.
You said we netted income from the events, like 10 grand we brought in from the events, Jared. We talked about it. Was that something
So-
else?
so there
Did
is
we
money.
bring in 10
There-
grand
there's-
to offset? Is that what
There's separate
you're saying?
money raised that's given to the fire company
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
Like
Oh, okay,
50
okay.
and Stuff like that.
Yeah, so last year, or 2025, the fire company should finish around 11.5, give or take. The car show was a pretty good driver, and along with Food Truck Fest too.
Do we have a list of each event and the specific costs for each event? It'd be interesting to look at what
Yes.
each event costs.
Absolutely.
I was talking to Jen about trying to get attendance too, like track attendance, because I don't think she's really been tracking how many people are coming to these things so that we know we can track growth and see like, if this is, if the costs are, scaling with the growth of the events and stuff, because, we don't want these things to get out of hand.
I think about Oktoberfest. I know that was, a new event, wasn't very well attended. I wasn't there, but that's my understanding. And, I know there was, axe throwing for that. And, I don't know how much
Which one?
the
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest.
Oh, Oktoberfest.
I'm not, it's just an example of.
No, well, that's a good example.
Tilton Market, it was.
That's
Missile-
the victim of the weather though.
Mistletoe Market
It's
is actually pretty steady.
Christmas tree lighting. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are coming to 2 events in one weekend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I
Good
wanna have.
Christmas tree
we have a
lighting.
Farmers market.
You said-
Me too.
Of
I
the,
call it lately to the Amish farmers.
That would save
Like,
a lot of-
you can have
a
really
lot
good
of
food
money,
down
yeah.
there.
I talked to
Like,
Jen
spend
about
for a
that.
lot.
Yes, I would love that.
Like, I would love that.
Our parking lot would be perfect for it out here too.
Yeah, here or over there, whichever, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, it's like, and the Amish, they bring everything in, and then you can have other vendors, but I literally drive to Blakesley almost every weekend, all summer. Because their produce is better, their meats are better, everything's better.
I'm gonna start planning more events today.
Well, true, but I'm just saying, like, I'd much rather see something like that, okay, so a lot of the events, a lot of the locals don't wanna come to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that would drive a lot more of the locals to come out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Cause like for me, I come to Touch a Truck and then I look at the other events and I'm like, hell no. And
I mean, I love the movies. The movies were always great too, especially, I liked them when they were in here a little more. It was easier to see the screen. And now that we've
Yeah.
got, the setup for it, I'm looking forward to it, this summer if we're doing them. But
Yeah.
and those are super cheap too. And like, those are great. It's great for residents and they're cheap. So, like those are awesome.
So I mean, those things absolutely all day, the free events, the ones that cost a lot of money though, looking at.
I'm okay with, you said 60 was your recommendation?
Yeah.
Eric?
But what we'll do as well is we'll get a list together. We have an average cost for most of the events, but we'll drill down the rest and we'll get that out to you guys with the proposed dates. And we will combine the mistletoe market and the tree lighting.
that would be,
That's actually a huge,
I think you
Yeah.
should.
a huge OT saver.
You bring more people to the market.
have the mistletoe market during the day on Saturday and light the tree at 7 o'clock Saturday night or 6 o'clock Saturday night or whatever.
We have it Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, that-
Like, people are just like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. And then there's less work. Instead of 2 days of setup and breakdown, it's one day of setup and breakdown.
Okay, debt service. So there's some questions, not necessarily changing numbers. New complex principal, this is the payment that they gave us, the amortization schedule? 471.1.
471.1. Yes, that is what BFM had given us for 2026.
And that's just principal, and then the interest is the 224.
24,802.
And what about, do we have any other debt, like the public works leases and all that, the police leases, are they?
So the public works leases are built into the capital spreadsheet. That is, if you go down to capital and you're in the packet and
Yeah.
go, it's the second to last packet.
Okay,
And then if you go to the next page, you can see all of our lease breakdown.
we'll get to that, we'll skip that then, thank you. And then the Wayne Bank payoff, I see you changed that, so this is the number we actually paid off, not the 98. Oh, no, this is the payoff, right? Okay, and you changed the proceeds,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah, so these changes in the packets reflects what we discussed the last meeting. The foreign fire has been realigned. All the healthcare, insurance costs, liability, umbrella, all that's been updated.
so these two numbers here, the 5287, the 5,287,000.
Yep.
And the 80,000, that equals what we have up in proceeds. I'm just going up there now.
I'd have to ask Gina on that one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go see if it agrees, and then we can discuss that later. This one. Yeah. Oh, and the 35. The 3.5 for the police.
It should be the 5.2 plus the 3.5 should give us the 8.7.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And I think you changed the numbers, right, for the benefits and workman's comp? Did you change those? 43. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, this is it. They're the same. And insurance. You did change the insurance. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I just want to see what your bottom line was here. Mine calculated, but I'm not sure. Our votes are good.
Yep. Page.
Oh, I'm not sure what you have. You had a transfer in. And that was what we were gonna use out of the fund balance and income.
Yes.
And I didn't think we needed all of that, and I'm wondering if you changed that. I think it was a 392. Yeah, you had 392.9, 2,225,000. That number really should be,
That does need to be updated.
yeah, that's gonna be whatever this nets out to.
Correct. Yep,
Cause we're, right now, I'm showing, and I don't know if this is
that
absolutely
does need
correct,
to be updated.
one
You're right.
point nine, we're short. Almost 2 million short, we have to dip into our reserve. That, we can't do that every year, so. We're gonna have to watch our budget closely and not. In the past, we've said, oh, is it in the budget? We could spend it, but we really have to watch, do we have the money?
Mhm.
It's not whether the number's in the budget, but do we have the cash?
I, you know, I'll be the one to say it because I know, it's, I feel like it has to be said. I really think we should take a serious look at that tax cut. I really am concerned that, in the next 2 years, we're going to have to end up raising taxes back up, probably higher than they were to try to make up, this deficit. I don't think it, maintaining the status quo now could save us, paying down the road of having to raise them back up to where they are now or potentially even higher because we're trying to, cover costs that we incur between now and then. I mean, I know, but and we talked about this at the last meeting, this building's probably going to need more work. The air handlers up on the roof are probably going to need to be replaced. You can see from Route 80 how old they are. They're all rusted and stuff. God forbid the roof starts leaking. I know John Tressler was telling me there's a bridge in town that's, getting to be on its last legs, that, is likely going to need to be replaced in the next few years, or at least needs, significant maintenance. If we, if we're running down our, our savings account now, are we going to have the money in the bank to take care of these things later? And if they do end up coming up, are we going to have to jack taxes up in a year or two, to try to make up that difference and, avoid bankrupting the township? I know nobody wants to, everybody wants to give this tax cut, but if it's going to mean that taxes are going to have to go even higher down the road, I would rather maintain the status quo so that we can maintain, what people are expecting from the township. I know like about a decade ago, we had a bridge fall down in town. And it took us a while to get it rebuilt. And that's a major expense on residents because now they got to drive all the way around that bridge if something like that were to happen. We want to make sure that we have this money in the bank so we can take care of these problems when they come up. Because if we're spending down our surplus, if we're spending down our bank account, we're going to be in rough shape if we end up in a position where we don't have the money to address something. We're not like the federal government where we can spend when we don't have money. We are more like a family budget where we have to make sure that our incomes is at least, kind of keeping up with expenses. And, a 10% tax cut right now, it's, I think, what, about $490,000 or, like $490,000. It won't even make up the entirety of this, this deficit that we have, but it's still, a significant chunk. It's about a quarter of it, and it's going to give us some breathing room to, as Ellen's saying, try to tighten our belt where we can to make sure that this doesn't, run down our savings. So I just want to put it out there. I just want to be the one to say it so we can talk about it.
Get
But
everybody.
that's my feeling.
Well, can I just ask? This is why I've asked before, and maybe I'm asking a lot, but I'm curious if there's a preliminary projection for 2027 and what the big differences are between the 2026 and 2027 budgets. I think Commissioner Leap said something about the 3.5 million for the police wing. So that's what I'm trying to understand. What are gonna be the big differences between 26 and 27?
Well, that was a major thing too that came up before, Ellen. I don't remember if we ended up reconciling this, but didn't you say that some of the money that that was coming through the financing through the bond issue, not all of it went to the police wing and to paying off the loan? Wasn't there a balance there? So
Yeah,
some
they did reconcile.
Oh, it was reconciled?
Just now, today, we got the reconciliation.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that
they
is
They
reconciled.
changed
then.
the Jared and Gina changed the numbers on here, and that's the math I just did. It was,
Okay.
we're paying down the debt of 5.7, and the 3.5 to the police is the 5.2, and 3.5 is the 8.7 that we borrowed.
Okay, so
So
that
it-
money,
so it-
that money
it was-
isn't going towards
Right.
closing that gap. All right, so
Yeah.
at least we don't have to worry about that then.
No, so you're gonna be. Yeah, I mean, so when I did my worksheet, I backed out all the things that weren't really revenue and weren't really expenses, like the transfers back and forth and the loan and that type of thing. And right now, and I'm not sure if my numbers are accurate at this point because we changed some stuff, but I had a pure income 9.9 and we were spending 9.8, which left us $86,000 to the good.
Mhm.
So,
But that's also counting the 3.5 million allocated towards the police.
no, I
building,
backed all
right?
that out.
Okay.
I bet, because that's a wash. We borrowed the money, we used the proceeds to do what we had to do. So that's
But
a
we do have
wash.
the debt financing now that we have to think
We
about.
do
in
have the debt,
future.
and that's it. That is in these
Yeah,
numbers.
and yeah,
Yeah, that's.
And
in
that
these
changes
numbers.
each year, but what we have for 2026 is what we receive from PFM. That's the 648 and change.
But to Matt's point, a projection going out a year or two would be, I mean, not for this time because we're crunched. I mean, we could still do it, but we can't do it for this budget. We have to get this through by the 15th. But we certainly could project what our income
And
possibly could be and those new expenses.
we don't have anything formal. I can put together something formal as well, but obviously when we're creating the 2025 or the 2026 budget, we're obviously thinking a year ahead. So obviously the goal is to not have to raise taxes. Eventually the balance was what we could get worth of land development to offset any tax increases. So we do expect Court 5 and Brookstead to be on the tax ratables for 2027. Cranberry Run is set on 2028.
Which one is Brookstead?
Brookstead is the old Pangea.
Oh, okay.
And Roland's outbuilding will be done,
Yes,
Swiftwater.
that is
or not the Swiftwater, but you know. What I'm talking
Swiftwater too. So that is set to come on to the ratables this year. And we actually expect the CO to be issued in just about 30 days.
I mean, I know we have new businesses coming in, new sources of, potential sources of tax revenue, but it seems like the last few years, the growth in, the municipal government's needs to keep up with, not only managing the population increase, but also, the increase in business needs in the township. That's also driven up costs significantly. And I mean, at least from my perspective, it looks like, costs have been rising faster than revenues from these businesses that have been coming in. I just want to make sure that we're not going to put ourselves in a precarious position, because the last thing I want to see is services being degraded for residents, see quality of life declining for residents. Because we can't keep the roads plowed, we can't keep them salted, we can't keep.
All that stuff is in our budget though.
Well, it is this.
Stuff is
but
already
it is this- yes,
allocated
it
in
is
our
this-
expenses.
Yeah, it is this year. I'm saying in the future, if we continue to spend down and we have an emergency, like I'm saying, a bridge collapses, the roof needs to be replaced on this building, the air handlers need to be replaced.
So
Some big expenses that could come up.
capital outlined in Pat and I's planning.
Mhm.
So we do have, I mean, all those air handlers on the police side are already part of that 3.5. We have a new engine for the Johnson Control System set for 2026, along with 4 other air handlers. We do have the roof set to be replaced on this side in 2027. And same thing goes with all our trucks. We have a 10-year truck plan. And that's also built into our lease sheet as well.
Then can we just move to capital briefly? And then we do have to discuss the fire department, where we're going with that, because
Yes. Yep. Capital should
is
be
that all right with everyone? Move on to capital.
second to last. Back, yeah.
See,
These loose sheets here.
Yep, second to last one, Mike, it'll say capital reserve twenty
Can I
twenty
just ask
six.
on the loans? I mean, you're the expert on amortization schedules and all that stuff. I mean, you know, to go back to 3.5 million for this year, you know, assuming the income and expenses for next year are roughly balanced out like they are for this $86,000, but you know, put that all to the side for a second. What's our liability in terms of the debt for everything going to look like for 2027? I mean, do we need more information to be able to figure that out?
I think Jared has the.
You mean the
The
PSM
amortization.
schedule?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to. I feel like I still don't have any clarity on
it's
that.
not like your mortgage where you have the same payment every
It
month.
fluctuates
It
every year.
fluctuates.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
so-
get that, so I'm just trying to
Yeah.
understand what is.
I'll send that PFM schedule out to everyone. So that way everyone can see what it is each year.
I mean, are we looking at another? Yeah, I guess I still don't understand if we're looking at another $2 million deficit next year or not. That's what I'm trying to understand.
But, and it's hard to say because we're hoping amusement tax and other things come through.
But assuming nothing changes,
If everything remains the same, then yes.
We make 90,000 next year.
I don't think we're expecting expenses to decline. I mean, inflation is everywhere. Expenses are going up for everything, for
But if
government.
expenses
and
go
for
up, income goes up
private.
too. Cause you can't,
but we're not spending another 3.5 million next year on the police building, correct?
But that's finance. That's a wash. The 3.5 million, the municipal building. You know, the only thing that's new from that is this is the debt service. That's $600,000. You know, plus or minus whatever it's going to be every year as it fluctuates. But that's new. That's going to be for the foreseeable future, assuming we don't have to take out any additional debt, which, you know, is impossible to predict.
Yeah.
You know, with any absolute certainty.
but we've got a few larger places coming online that are coming on the tax revenues for this year and 2027. So expenses are going to increase, of course, but so is income. Because you're going to have fortunately for us, you're going to have some of those larger. We're not talking about a single family house. We're talking about Core 5. We're talking about, you know, the Swiftwater 2. Those are, you know, for instance, the Swiftwater 1 on the bottom. So when the Swifty was there?
Yeah.
So that when the Swifty was there, they were paying $17,000 in taxes a year. When Anthony bought that and put his first apartment complex up, his taxes jacked to $124,000. Granted, that's total, school and property. But that's the offset. Even Core 5, you have raw land. So the raw land, their taxes are very minimal. Then you've got Core 5 coming on. So their tax base is going to be huge.
But what is Core 5 going to impose upon the township? I mean, any of those trucks that are on township roads, that, you know, end up on township roads, that's going to be damage to township roads. I know we also don't have an 80 east ramp in Tannersville, or
That has
80
nothing
west
to do
ramp in
with that
Tannersville,
stuff.
rather. They're going to have to be going like
That's PennDOT.
And so.
no, sorry, 80 west. We don't have an 80 west ramp in Tannersville. So if they're trying to get onto 80 going west, these trucks, they're going to be coming around, you know.
We have 80 West on 715 by the crossings.
What am I thinking? There's no.
You're thinking the Scott Run ramp. The Scott Run, there's only east, there's no west.
You can't get on. Can you
But-
get on going that way?
Yeah, 80 east is right by the crossings, where 80 west is. over
Oh,
by
you're
the
right.
road.
You're right. Okay. Yes. No. Yeah. I am thinking down that
I
way.
mean, both, even Warner Road itself is a PennDOT road.
Yep.
So they're pretty much. on-
Overall,
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, overall, as far as capital goes,
Yeah.
from, you know, I'll give a lot of credit to Pat, we used to spend just about $1.5 million in capital on our roads. And like we talked about at the last budget work session, a lot of changes in technology and proper analyzation of the roads. We've used the robot in the past. We've used Google Heat Maps most recently, which turned out to be a really great analytic. But we've cut down road maintenance, and our roads are probably in the best shape they've ever been in. That being said, a truck, we don't even do triaxles anymore because they're too expensive. But a truck that was 150,000 in 2021 is now closer to 280. A police car was in 2021 was $65,000 upfitted. Now it's 108. So to your point, Charles, we've scaled quite a few things back, and we've started more long-term planning to show when we're going to need a new roof, when truck 8's going to have to be replaced next. That is the next one. But
Definitely.
Well, but still, with all these changes and this volatility, it seems like a risky time to be doing the tax cut. And the reason I was thinking of that intersection is not because of the directions I need, but because of the construction that's going to be going on there. Realigning all of 715 and all of that. I know that's going to be a nightmare, and that might not be a cost that's upon the township, but it might end up being, if trucks are taking weird routes and things like that. So it's just another variable. It's another unforeseen thing. There's a lot going on in town right now. There are a lot of big changes that are on the horizon. And I just don't want to be caught without the money to address them, because I just don't want to see residents, residents are already complaining about the traffic. They're already complaining about,
We've been complaining about the traffic for 40, 50, 80 years.
I know.
There's nothing we can do with that.
Well,
to Charles and Matt's point, I think the balance is going to be utilizing what the fire company had requested versus the savings, at least for 2026, and then reanalyze, for 2027.
What's the bottom line in the general fund per your numbers? Is it the 2.225 or has that changed?
So at the end of 2026, estimated ending uncommitted fund balance is 3.47,481.63.
So 3.47 left in the general fund after all of this income and expenses reflected in this budget.
Yeah.
And that's,
I don't think that's right.
Well, are you including something set aside for you said a certain amount has to be set aside in case of
That's reserved.
That's the operating reserve, 20%.
yeah, because it's really
1.2.
you have like 4.9, right?
We have for my calculations, we have like 8 million left after all this.
Yeah, so correct. You're right, Ellen. Beginning
In the
uncommitted to
general
7.7. We've got
That's
our
with the
budget
10%?
revenue, use of fund balance, which is the 1.2 that you referenced. We have the transfer to capital, and then we have the operating reserve, which is 20%, which gets us through from January to April of 2027. That's 3.2. So at the end of all that, the estimated is 3.474.
and that's with.
so we could only
with
afford
the
one
tax
more
cut.
year of a deficit. Well, use of our fund balance.
$5 million in our general fund.
With
Well,
with the
we're-
20% taken out.
It's
2027.
decreasing by 2 point something million this year. We could only do that one more year before we would be
What is the
negative.
end? The end of 2026.
Without anything taken out, like Ellen says, it's closer to 8. It's 7.75.
But in the general fund, what is our final balance with everything that's reflected in this budget, income, expenses? What is our final number that we should end 2026 with?
With the 20% taken out or no?
Yeah.
3.474.
So
That's what's left.
That's with the 20% reserve and that's with the 10% tax decrease.
Correct.
So
So
we have a surplus.
3.5 in our general fund, not including the rest of the funds, just the general fund.
Plus the 20%.
Plus the 20%, but I'm not counting the 20%. So I'm saying we have 3.5 million in our general fund with a 10% tax reduction.
But we had 5 this year.
But why do we need over $5 million of taxpayer money sitting in our account collecting interest?
Because we need it to pay for new stuff.
We
next
do.
year.
The bridge
But-
could cost $2 million.
But there's income coming in that offset the expenses, and that's how you budget every year. You don't,
But we're taking $1 million out to fund our capital reserve fund, and we do that every year. We only made 86,000. We need $1 million in capital, and that's every year. So,
Mhm.
so that's, you got 4 years of that and we're broke, but that's only if we need $1 million.
but there's a lot of large ticket expenses this year, isn't there? And that goes back to Matt's point. What are we spending this year? That's gonna be different for 2027. So obviously the police wing build out
Mhm.
is different.
I mean, I'm looking at like, the increase in our police expenses, there's almost $1 million increase every year,
But that's
for the
a-
last 2 or 3 years. That, and
You're talking
I'm
about
not
salaries
expecting
or-
that to slow down or stop. We're still trying to hire new officers. We're still trying to,
Well,
make sure that they have good equipment. I know we've got a police car that, Matt wants to get, and, we're gonna have to continue getting police cars.
Well, the three are
I
in the
know.
budget.
Yeah,
We
There's
do
three in the
have,
budget already.
and we do have contract negotiations with Public Works at the end of this year, followed by at the end of 2027, contract negotiations with the police.
I
Well,
think
but
we,
that's gonna probably raise costs too, because, they're gonna,
yeah, we're, as we go, and we don't have to do this the end of the year, we can do this during the year when we're not crazy, but get our projections like Matt suggested, so we can get an idea. And we do have 8 million left, but we're gonna be using that. The idea is to get new revenues, right? The amusement tax, Matt had proposed some things so that we,
If
We
that
can-
goes through, that would almost, that probably, let's just be safe, that would probably double our amusement tax revenues.
so that would be almost $1 million, and that's what we're transferring over to capital reserve right now. Sometimes we transferred more, sometimes we transferred less.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, I mean, this 2025 amusement tax was 880.
But we need to get to the point where we don't spend, we use our current revenue, right, not what's sitting in the bank. And then our current expenses, that should be a wash or a positive, so we can build a reserve. And have money to move over to capital. That's what we should be aiming for. We do have a reserve. We're lucky in that respect. But it's not gonna last forever if we're breaking even every year.
I think if we were putting money into our savings account, like Natasha said, there's no reason that we should be, accumulating endless amounts of money. But if we're taking it out, and we don't have any real reason aside from, speculation to expect that we're going to be taking less out next year, I don't think that it's, we're hoping that we're able to get, some more revenue from the, from the amusement tax. We're hoping that we're going to be able to scrimp and save where we can. But we're only just guessing here. If we can get that, then, at the end of this year, and we're looking at like, we thought we were going to have a $2 million deficit. Now it's looking like, we're going to have a $500,000 surplus. That's the time where we start talking about, a $500,000 township-wide tax cut. But until we know that we're going to be solvent in the long run, I don't think it's
ever
responsible. Well, you
You
can't
don't
have,
know that in your own, household budget.
no,
You
I
know,
don't.
You could blow an engine in your car and you're sunk until you pay for it.
I know.
So we can't run our town with the fear of something going wrong.
Well, we're not running it with the fear, but we're running it with the optimism right now that things are going to go right.
Yeah,
Maintaining the status quo is saying, we're expecting things to stay about the same. We're hoping they stay about the same. Raising taxes would be we're expecting things to go terribly wrong.
I've been said that 5 times.
Cutting taxes would be saying that we're expecting things to go terribly right.
But
but I don't-
right is an
So we
oxymoron.
are
Well,
changing on
I'm using some creative language here, but we're expecting.
We're getting more
From
taxes
my
in
perspective, I don't see
2026.
any reason to expect, things to change that drastically by the end of this year.
And they might not, but then that's next year's budget. Here's the thing, there's a 10% tax cut. We're doing the police wing build out. we're meeting our status quo. We're making $90,000 this year.
But-
It's,
We're using how much of the general fund is gonna.
But I think we need to talk about the balance of that versus the fire tax too.
well, and that's the whole thing. So we're gonna take away the 10% so even though we're maintaining and we're putting a little money in the bank, obviously not a lot, but we're putting a little money in the bank. So now we're gonna take away the tax decrease and we're gonna raise the fire tax. That's what we're talking about doing?
Well, yeah, but it's, we're not really putting money in the bank. We made 86,000, but we're
Yeah.
gonna transfer 1 million over to capital reserve, so we're negative 920,000.
Isn't that up here? What's the uncommitted funds transfer?
So once Jared makes all these changes and whatnot, and we have to go through capital yet, we can go through what we need. Just quickly, can anything wait? If it can't, it can't. But right now, we have $8 million. I figured we need 50% of that in our reserves. So I'm saying even if you had 4 million in reserves, you still have 4 million that we've accumulated in past years. So we haven't always been negative, or we wouldn't have a balance.
Correct. And
So-
3.2 is the sweet number that we never want to go down to as a reserve ever.
Right, right.
Because when we build the final budget numbers out, we always take that additional 20% out to see what we're left with. We never want to
Right.
not have that to cover us into the next
Right.
year. Now,
Right.
there are loans and things like that, and that's how some townships
Yeah.
do it, but
So-
Pocono's never done that.
So we have to decide, and we'll vote on it, I guess, maybe at our next meeting, whether or not we want this 10% tax cut to keep it or take it away. And then while we're here on this topic, the fire company also asked for a millage increase, which kind of negates that. So I've been pondering that, and I'm thinking, the 10% was promised to the people, and we do have 4 million that we have 8 million, but 4 million in, for me is a reserve half, and then the other 4 million is just a surplus. We could technically, maybe they should have gotten this 10% discount a long time ago, but we could give that to them because it was promised, it was voted in, and now we're taking another look at it. It's 450,000 maybe dollars.
For what, the fire company?
No, for the
No,
for the
the
tax
10%.
cut, right? The 10%.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
the income.
Well, it was closer
Right.
to 490, but
It depends what you collect, I guess.
yeah, I guess.
Correct.
We'll say 500,000. We'll
Yeah.
just round it up. So it's 500,000, and we kind of promised that to them. Then the fire company wanted something, and I personally am not, and I want the fire company to get what they need. But again, I would rather set aside in a reserve for them. I thought they wanted, Mike, maybe you can answer. I thought they were asking for reserves in case they need something down the road, not necessarily right this minute, or are they looking for right this
They're
minute?
trying to start saving for.
Yeah.
when
They
need to
wanna
buy it.
save.
Yeah, we
So-
want to be able to, we want to be able
Why
to be
couldn't
ready.
why couldn't we set aside, right, without taking it out, right? Set it aside in a restricted account for the fire company this year, instead of changing the millage around, and then ponder
Yeah,
it,
how would we?
and then we
We
could
don't
gradually increase their millage, or so this 10% isn't a give and take, like we gave it to you, but we're taking it right back away.
Well, it's, the 10% is coming out of the township tax. The
It's coming
fire
out.
company tax is another animal.
But it's all coming out of the taxpayer's pocket.
I understand that. So is the county coming out of taxpayers' pocket.
I know, but we
And
said,
so is the school coming out of taxpayers' pocket. So, you got to rob Peter to pay Paul, but that's just life.
But-
I mean, if we can give our taxpayers 10% discount, and unfortunately, the fire company needs the money. And the income from the carnival wasn't as good this year. We can only sell so many raffle tickets and have so many bingo games. So what what the officers were here asking for at the last budget meeting, I didn't think was out of line, and I think they justified it pretty good. But I'm just one man.
Can I just ask, at what point, what are we allowed to discuss here in terms of, at what point does this become, are we allowed to say if we support a tax cut or raising the fire millage in this meeting, or is?
Sure, we're not voting. You can say.
As
But
long
is
as we're
it
not focusing
deliberation?
on, correct.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
as long
what
as
I'm
you're not
saying.
making
At
any
what point does it
decisions.
become deliberation? Because
When someone says I make a motion,
Okay.
then it becomes deliberation.
then I'll say this. I think this is for clarity for these discussions. I don't support getting rid of the 10% tax cut that, like you said, has been promised to people. I know we could do that, but I don't support that at this point. Hopefully, we can trend towards a balanced budget with new revenues, cutting future capital expenses, whatever it is, so that we can afford to stay where we are. And on the fire millage rate, I do support raising the fire millage rate. To what millage rate? I think that's a fair question that we can discuss. Do we go to 0.5 or 0.6 or whatever? I think we should have that discussion, but we should raise it. It's very low compared to other.
Actually, we were right in the middle.
Yeah, but our guys do a lot more than some of the
We do a lot
townships
of-
that they
We
were.
do a lot
Yeah,
of
and,
mutual
and,
aid.
and like I was saying before, so Coolbaugh has theirs, which is somewhat high, but they also have that additional account, like Ellen says, where when they need something, they come to the township for that too. So, overall, Coolbaugh gives their fire company a little over $1.5 million every year.
I'm not opposed to giving the fire company money. I'm saying let's not put it on the taxpayer this time. Let's take it from our reserve, and then possibly next year consider that. See where we are. Maybe we'll have funds to keep putting it away. But we don't have to take it. I don't think we have to write them a check yet. We could just set it aside and restrict it for them.
I don't
Well,
think that we should be a bank for the fire
Right.
company. And
Yeah.
I don't think that we should control. I mean, they stand by a budget. They have trustees. They have to provide us with all the information on their budget, what they're spending, what their upcoming expenses are. I don't want to hold them hostage with township money
Right.
rather than they need hoses this year. They just had to, put new
Well, that's
gear.
what I asked. Do they need something now or do they need it later?
I mean,
Well-
and here's the thing. I mean, for me, and I've got 4 or 5 properties here in Pocono Township that I pay taxes for. And for me, I'd much rather pay fire tax than municipal tax. You know what I'm saying? Like the 10% for me is awesome. Now it's going to be offset in an increase in the fire tax. Perfect. I'm okay with that
Easy.
because if it helps outfit the fire department for what they need, I mean, you heard their trucks, $3.5 million in 4-year waiting times. Like they're trying to get stuff now, and they're also trying to build a buffer for if, the big tower goes down. They can probably order it. It's 4 years out, but they probably have to put 500,000 or $1 million down
Mhm.
for it to even be built and them to go on the list. They don't have that. So if the tower goes down, what are we doing?
Well, if the tower goes down, who are they going to be coming to? They're going to be coming to us looking for money.
But they have to. We're a first class township. We are
Yeah.
required to have a fire department.
Yeah,
We
well,
can't
well,
even.
of course, but that's what I'm saying. Like, again, spending down. This money we have
mutual
in the
aid
bank,
also helps. So I mean,
spending
if
down this
something's
money
wrong.
we have in the bank now before they've been able to build up their reserves. Also seems very irresponsible because if their tower does go down or their hoses do all break or one of their other trucks goes down and they don't have the money to get it themselves, they're going to be coming to us looking for it.
What do you think? What do you think happens though when one of the trucks is out for service for 3 months? Mutual aid. Mutual aid comes in
Mhm.
and helps, just like
Yeah,
we
but-
do for everybody
We
else.
can't-
So
we
if
can't
the tower
mutual aid
truck
for
were to
3 years until their millage is able to make up that difference, they're going to have to get a truck, and they're going to be coming to us looking for it. We can increase the millage rate so that in a couple of years they can budget for it. But at the end of the day, if that truck goes down tomorrow, next week, next year, they're not going to have raised that money yet through their millage. They're still going to be coming to us looking for it. And if we're down to only $3.5 million in the bank, that's that ladder truck. That's it.
Well, it's not like you're gonna write one check for a fire truck, okay?
And on top of that, we're
You
not,
don't write one check to buy a car.
this budget's not projecting 3, 4, 5 years down the road on what ifs. It's projecting a
Yeah.
2026.
Right.
What we see in black and white, yes, anything can happen,
Mhm.
but it's a black and white right now of what ifs.
So, but that's not a responsible way to budget.
But
to
you-
just
so,
say,
well,
it's,
like,
this is what it is
Let's,
right
let's
now.
move on though. We can.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know.
So you-
We
I
can be
mean,
on
they
this all
do
day.
have
How do you
two,
want to raise taxes?
I don't want to
Literally,
raise
been
taxes.
here
I
for
want
a
to
month.
maintain
But-
them.
but-
I
but
want to
they
maintain
do
them where
have
they are.
two
I think that that's
trucks
probably the
that
most
they are
responsible
concerned with.
thing.
There's the tower, which is the aerial, and the rescue engine. The
Mhm.
rescue engine goes to calls more than the tower does.
Oh, yeah, the rescue engine.
Yeah. Now, but the rescue engine is probably 4 years out. Tower to be at least 5 for a build out. One of the things when they do finance, these trucks is they need to see the revenue coming in. So that's where we would kind of want to look at that millage to make sure that they can get approved for that financing versus
Yep.
what they have in their reserves.
So what is the difference though? If you reduce the real estate millage 10%, raise the fire tax, right? So the taxpayer basically has maybe zero benefit. We'll just say it equals. Or if you don't reduce the tax and you cut the fire company a check, it's the same difference.
Correct.
Do we want to mess around with the millage?
Well,
Fourth, or leave it where it is and write the check?
I would personally rather that it goes right to the fire department.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
we could write the check to the fire department.
The only question that you might need answered is what Jared was just alluding to, which is if the fire company is going to finance that piece of equipment, is the lender going to request or want to see that millage increase so that they have the revenue coming in to
Yep.
pay the debt?
Well,
I don't know.
The revenue will show because we wrote them a check. So I don't
Mhm.
care. I don't think the bank
I don't know
cares
if
how
that's
they
his,
get it.
if that's
That's
his,
not
1 year, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
so if they're financing it, and I don't know how they finance the fire equipment, but let's assume they finance it over 6 years, for example. And
Mhm.
as the lender, if they knew that the millage was increased, they would be able to show that they're going to have that revenue in subsequent years, whereas a one-time payment, the lender may say, well,
Where's the
we got
next
this
one?
year, but
Well,
maybe
I
next year.
understand what
better
you're saying.
terms,
I
too.
understand what you're saying, but not all fire companies have fire millage. Some of them are just worked on
Correct.
definite.
And Ellen's right. It can go either way.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I understand what you're saying. But the bank doesn't care where you get your money from. They just want
Oh,
to
so
know that you
they-
have it.
Mhm.
And we're
They're gonna look at your
backstop it.
financials.
But there's no guarantee on that. Is there? So here's the thing. So you want to write a $500,000 check to the fire company for 2026. That's awesome.
I didn't say the amount.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
I'm saying
No.
hypothetically. So let's say $500,000. Well, what happens if the board changes and the board says, well, we don't want to write that check anymore? Well, then the millage rate hasn't been increased and the fire department loses all that money.
No, then you increase the millage rate, right?
But I'm saying though, so
It's too
if
little
you
too
don't
late.
increase the millage rate and you rely on the township to write that check, what happens if the township decides they don't want to write that check? Then what?
Mhm.
Then the
Won't
fire
be
department
this.
crap out of luck.
Yep.
Versus the raising of the fire tax, that money is required to go to the fire department. It can't stay in the township's hand.
I do largely agree with Natasha in terms of keeping the 10% tax cut for this year, working to get to a balanced budget so that we can afford to keep that for the long term, and raising the millage rate for the fire. And I think that's the discussion the board should have, is what do we raise the fire millage rate to? Because I do think it should be raised.
So what were you all thinking, and do we know what that dollar amount is?
Before, when we ran the numbers, I think we were talking about, it's at 0.301. I think we were talking about 0.55 or
Yeah.
even 0.6.
Yep.
And even if we went to
That's
0.6, the taxpayers would still get a tax cut. It was minimal, but if
Yeah,
you went to
correct.
0.6, it was still a
It would
tax cut.
double their income.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
we could talk
Double,
about
yeah.
0.5. We could talk about phasing it in potentially. Maybe we go to 0.5 for this year, and then 0.55 the next year, then 0.6, or we could talk about something like that.
and you will see in the year-end fire report tomorrow night, call volume is beyond at an all-time high, along with mutual aid requests.
Yeah.
My concern is too, if we don't raise the fire tax, we don't allow them to get the money that they need to stay safe, to stay functioning. We're going to decrease on volunteerism, because who would want to work for a fire department that doesn't have safety gear and everything that they would need to feel safe in an emergency situation. Like, I honestly think it's a drop in the bucket versus the tax cut versus the, fire millage increase. I mean, they just offset each other.
Mhm.
Really, at the end of the day, there's very minimal savings to the taxpayer. They get the 10% on their municipal side, and the fire tax gets raised.
And I do agree with the long-term concerns about, are we going to be able to afford this 10% tax cut forever, or even the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. So I completely share that concern. I wish that the 10% tax cut was paid for, I guess, to put it that way, instead of just, I understand we have a balance of the general fund. We can afford it this year, but I don't. And I wasn't at those meetings. I think all three of us here were not at those meetings. So I don't know what those conversations were, but I don't want to belabor the point, though.
I do think it's unfortunate that, the fact that the fire millage rate has to go up, and that, that is a tax increase here. The tax increase we are seeing is largely, for this ladder truck, so that they can get this ladder truck down the line, which, I don't know about, all you guys,
Well,
but
it's
I've
not
never
just-
had a ladder truck come to my house, but
It's
I've heard
not just for that.
Well, God,
Charles.
I know it's for mutual,
Usually
I know it's for
never
mutual aid as
it's
well,
for-
never need
but
it.
it's not
It's
for.
for turnout gear.
Honestly.
It's for
Okay.
turnout
I know
gear.
it's for gears, but
It's for.
I know it's for gears, well.
It's to paint the firehouse.
Yeah, of course.
It's the.
Of
It's
course,
not
but the
just
big,
for a
but
fire
the
truck.
big, but the big expense that they're.
God
trying to save
forbid
for
we
down
have to
the line.
replace it. We might not
Yeah,
have to
I know,
replace it.
Let's
that's
move
what I'm
on.
saying.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Let's move on to capitals, because we all want to get out,
Yeah, no kidding.
because we could debate this all night long.
All right, where are we at?
So-
Little capital.
It's this one, it's really hard to read.
Yeah,
Like
thank you.
itty bitty nothing.
Is this at the end?
No, it's actually,
In the beginning?
no, it's the
Oh, sorry.
separate
So
sheets.
Jared,
Second
can
to
you
last
just go
page.
down and say, I can't see it. So if you could tell us what it is and why we need it this year versus not this year.
So, well, I mean, the top big ones are the income, grants revenue, we put off to the side, the matches if we have them. But for the actual expenses that we talk about, we've got the HVAC replacement for this side that we talk about, we've already talked about.
Which-
This-
Which
this-
line
this
are you looking at?
So,
Down under 401.
401,001.
okay.
So we've got our HVAC replacement. This is for admin comprehensive. And then we also have our Simplex holding and grinder pump. That is the project to get sewage and water over to the library or county wing side, regardless
The
of
wedge.
what we need to do. Yeah. So whatever we do, that gets us our water and sewer down there. We have two copiers within the admin side. They are both at the end of their life, but they are currently working right now. So we have a new one forecasted for 12/5. That is part of the lease. So overall it's 12/5, but the annual payment on that is 2,500.
Are we getting grant money for the police vehicles? I saw this on the.
So- Yeah, we don't know. So we have submitted for an LSA, which we generally always get. Knock on wood.
I
But
think
just-
Maureen Mannon's doing a great job.
Mhm.
So if we
She's good to us.
if we don't get that, the
That's
back,
gonna be used
the
against me some-
contingency is in there.
Oh, she's good to us.
Sorry.
And then we have an EMA capital equipment purchase. So we had been donated some relief units for the fire company for rehab trailers, and were items that would go in a rehab trailer, mobile air conditioners, mobile showers, for any kind of decon, things like that. So that is for a trailer and the outfitting of the trailer. The next one we have is 3 of the MyoVision, excuse me, traffic light systems, continuing to add the intersections onto the adaptive AI, and the overall goal is to get the whole township on that. Next one we have is a message board. We've had this on the,
I was just gonna say, didn't we approve this like twice?
Yeah.
we've had it 2 times and we're kind of just skimping by. We know the message board is on its last legs. We have two. One decides when it wants to work and when it doesn't.
Didn't we approve it a new?
We put it in the budget,
Oh,
but we're just trying to stretch the budget out.
oh, okay.
And
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So we're
Correct.
projecting we'll have to replace them, but we're gonna limp them along as long as they want to work.
correct.
Okay, well,
Sounds good.
you know, change the light bulb.
Frugal.
Hey, awesome.
Cheap.
And then the last one we have just it's for the rear pad, and that's just the outdoor CrossFit extension for the outdoor gym, or for the gym to the outdoor tire flipping ropes, shake type thing.
For people
So
that.
that
yeah.
Public Works would
Try to
be
shake them
Public
knees.
Works would be installing it. That's more of the that's for the IPSI concrete. That's all we have in admin capital for 2026.
Okay. So let's talk about the, in the capital account, the projects, the road projects, because now that it's a new board, let's make sure that before we budget for it, that we actually want to do the project.
Sure. I mean, I'll transition into Pat. One of the biggest things, we used to spend anywhere from 1.5 to 1.3 million dollars in road projects. Pushing that money into there really extended the infrastructure for a long time. So, looking at how much we were spending on this wing, the purchase of the new building, Glenwood Hall, the police wing, we've scaled everything back. So everything that we have planned for the roads in 2026 is directly within our allotment for liquid fuels from the state. So I'll let Pat take the rest over with
Yeah,
lights overlay.
and to Jared's point, we've used technology and some analysis of our roads, which actually showed that Pocono Township's roads are, and I'll quote the analytics folks that we used, some of the best in the entire state. So, and that's, work that Jared and I have done, but it's also my predecessors. They've taken an interest and done a lot of paving and maintenance on the roads. It's not to say we're not going to do road work this year. We are. There's a couple of areas in particular that I'm targeting. I'll have a comprehensive list for the board within the next 4 weeks. I like to extend it as far as I can through the winter to see if anything pops up when we get these real bad freeze thaw situations that we're looking at for the next couple of weeks. But to Jared's point, that number is going to stay within the liquid fuels number that we're allocated from the state. And it's not coincidental that we're doing the police building. So we really want to kind of see what that number looks like this year. We've done, we've paid forward the road paving and the maintenance in the township over the last 6 years. So it allows us to do this.
And then what about the various projects? We got the right-hand turn lane and the roundabout and a bunch of stuff here. Can we go through them?
Sure. Which one you
All
want
of them.
first? I mean, so overall,
In order.
I mean, the right turn lane is something that we have been talking about since 2018. That currently has 2 different grants roped into it, and we continue to submit for an extension each time. The cost of it has outgrown what we've received the grants for. So the ultimate plan is to, out of each PennDOT HOP, so you've got Wawa, you've got the Dual Grand Hotel, and you've got the Members First Credit Union, all required to do capital improvements on PennDOT's roads. So once those decel and turning lanes are installed as part of their HOPs, that will then give us the affordability to utilize those grants that we've had on hold for 6 years to acquire the right of way and permitting and construction for the other side, the old it used to be a fish place and the body shop.
Yeah.
So the next one is the roundabout, and the roundabout is somewhat intertangled into the TASA project as well. We actually have 6 different grants, all jumbled up into those safety enhancements. John is going to report out a little bit more on this tomorrow at our BOC meeting. But I will re-forward the email from Bridget, our grants administrator, where they really delineate all the grants wrapped into these projects. So in essence, you've got the roundabout on Learn Road. You have the intersection realignment that realigns Old Mill, the Learn Road, and Route 611. And then you've got the TASA project, which is the sidewalks. But because of the safety intersections that need to be designed as part of the sidewalks, it also, trickles into the intersection realignment to get rid of that pork chop at the old Seats Brothers exterminator.
So is the board okay with all these projects? I mean, I know they've been in the works. I personally am not in favor of the roundabout or the sidewalks. I understand Old Mill and Learn should be aligned, but majority rules. So I just want to see where everybody sits before we put it in the budget. Are we going to do it?
How do we arrive at a roundabout for Fish Hill Road? Was that the most like the easiest and cheapest way to do that? Like, wouldn't just like a 3-way stop rather than that wedge have been?
So that was the two options. Yeah, I mean, I'll defer to John a little more on this, but PennDOT only gave us two options on that road. One was the roundabout. The other one was we'd have to take that entire trailer park property as a whole and turn it into a 3-way intersection. So in terms of cost, this was the cheaper way to go. And initially, it's gone back and forth throughout the years. Initially, it was 120 foot radius, and now it's cut down to the 90-foot radius. That's the safest that we can go for the fire trucks and school buses. And this required the least amount of right-of-way acquisition.
I know that. I mean, that hill is a screamer there. I mean, I know.
Nobody stops at that stop sign.
I've almost got T-boned there. Like, it is and it's hard to see to the right there too. It's very difficult to see around that corner. So like something definitely needs to be done there. Just, my concern is, are we doing it, the most cost efficient way? Like, to my mind, a 3-way stop would be cheaper, but I guess if you need to,
because of the property acquisition, correct. I mean, normally a roundabout versus the 3-ways, the 3-ways cheaper, but the amount of property we'd have to take and utility pole relocation, especially from the bank, because the bank has the dual entrance. That's kind of where it gets a little tricky with underground gas tanks.
The geometry there is very funky too, Charles. If you look at it, it's a very acute angle coming into that intersection.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that's why expanding it with the roundabout allows you to make that turn safely.
Yeah.
Right now, it's very difficult to come into that angle and then try to make that left-hand turn.
I know. Believe me, I know.
And sidewalks, everybody's okay with sidewalks?
Yep.
I have more questions about the sidewalks than I do the roundabout, to be honest. But I'm curious what everyone thinks. I forget what the vote was. I was going to ask. I mean, are you two to my right? Were you in favor of both the roundabout and the sidewalks?
I was.
I'm in favor of the roundabout. The sidewalks I'm out to lunch on, to be honest with you. My concern with the sidewalks is we have a lot of grants money, a lot of time, a lot of effort into them. That the TASA project was prior to me. I personally don't want to see all of 611 sidewalked. I think we're going to look like, downtown New York, but that was prior to me. So
I still think, I'd rather see consolidated development in our commercial corridor. We're seeing a lot of sprawl out there along 611. And that's pushing a lot of these businesses off of 611. I would rather see the business development occurring there. And the best way to get high density development is to, have infrastructure like sidewalks that allows people to move between the businesses without driving between them. Makes the property more valuable.
It's not a walk. Even if you develop a 611 corridor, it's not like downtown Stroudsburg Main Street. It's not a walkable location. You're still going to drive from business to business unless you're at the crossings. But I mean, I have a business on 611. And when I tell you, there are maybe 10 people all week that walk in front of my business.
Well, yeah, because
And
there
I
are no
need to be right
sidewalks.
next
Well,
to.
there- well, yeah, and there are
I-
10 people,
I
but
don't
there'll
think
be
that it's
more if
because
there's
no
sidewalks. You gotta
They
induce
still
demand.
walk it. I think that's just, they don't, it's not a walkable neighborhood.
Well, no, it's not right now, but if you build, if you build it, they will come. There's nothing there now because there's nice sidewalks. It used to have sidewalks and we tore them up.
So
And I think putting them back would again incentivize that development there. That's what we want to try to do, incentivize development, and putting in sidewalks is a great way to do it.
On
to
a,
get the-
so on a flip side, you're also gonna deter businesses because they don't want public sidewalks that they're then liable for because the township's gonna put it in. Number one, as a business, my taxes are gonna go up because I now have a sidewalk. And then on top of it, my liability is going to dramatically increase because now I am responsible to shovel and salt that. And if someone falls in front of my business, I will get sued, not the township. So you can say all you want, it's gonna drive businesses to the area. It's gonna push businesses out.
I don't think
So
so. I
let's
think we're gonna see a Main Street revival.
Okay.
I think
We don't have Main Street.
let's
Well,
just
no, we
take a
don't.
little census here, not a vote, but
yeah.
because if we don't want if the majority doesn't want it, then it doesn't go in the budget. And if the majority wants it, then it does go in the budget. So
Well, I was gonna say, I'd like to hear from business owners and the residents at large more about this. So I don't know if that helps you in terms of budgeting right now, but I do like that Mike and Charles are in agreement for once. I think we should all just take a moment and
Well, every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut. You know what I mean?
I'm very so I don't know if I can help you in terms of the budget right now. I guess my recommendation would be to just leave it in because I don't think I'm
Aren't we obligated
ready
to put them in?
make a
No.
decision at this point.
I do think
Well-
there's a sunk cost to it. Not that should say, not to say that we should, just because we spent the money already, we should, send good money after
Well-
bad. But I think this is good money after good,
well, I
personally.
think John is still working on that, right? So if we're
He-
not gonna do it,
he is,
we
and-
should.
Yeah,
not
I mean,
do it as soon as
he's
possible.
going to report on a little more tomorrow. I'm going to send out a email that was sent to the previous board back in September in regard to the concerns of grant non-compliance if we don't do
Oh, yeah.
some of this stuff because they all
We were gonna get jammed up on
in
that.
together. Her concern is how do we even start delineating all of this? But I'll forward this email out and let John report on it. That way,
So,
everybody's informed prior to
My
making any decisions.
question is too, where? Again, I'm out to lunch on this particular set of sidewalk.
Right, 'cause
Am
it's
I
phased,
gonna
right?
approve
Yeah.
future ones? I don't know. However, where are we at with the people that we have required to put sidewalks in for this TASA project long term? I mean, we're making them put sidewalks everywhere. So like, can they come back at us and say, well, you made us put sidewalks in, it cost me 150 grand? Like, where are we at with that too?
You mean for the people who've been deferred versus who have been called on that deferment?
People that have put sidewalks in or have it on their plans to put it in, and it's been through land
So-
development.
Yeah, I
with-
mean, a lot are. I guess you could almost say it's the Stroud type approach. Stroud required sidewalks, and eventually they end up connecting. So we have called on the deferment for Turkey Hill and Wendy's.
Never.
Wawa, put sidewalks in. The next Wawa's putting sidewalks in members first. But these are more of the 611 type businesses where the other ones, 715, Staten Road, Brookdale Spa, they've all been deferred.
Yeah.
Because will there ever really be sidewalks there? Probably not.
No.
Well,
Where's the credit union you were talking
you
about?
can
Corner across from
use it somewhere
Burnsies.
else. And
Where
Yeah,
the Wawa's go.
right across from the body shop. It's been for sale. for
Storage
like
place?
6 years.
No,
The old post office.
The old white farm.
Post office right there.
Yeah.
But someone
White House.
Yeah, it's been for
So it's
sale
gonna be a
for
credit
many
union.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
members first credit.
Yeah.
union.
Cool. I like credit union.
like for the sidewalks, I'm not too concerned about the grant necessarily because we've been known, and Maureen stated when she was here the other day that we could change that up. So if you didn't want sidewalks, maybe you could do a bike path or something.
Yes, 100%. We could do a scope of work realignment.
Right.
As part
Oh,
of
so
that.
if we don't do the sidewalks, we're not gonna get jammed up? If we use
needs
the
to-
money
it
for-
needs to be something similar depending on the type of grant. So there's 6 grants as part of this. We've got an LSA, we've got DCED, which and well, we have a DCED, EDCI, so economic development, community involvement. And then we've got the DCED MTF. That's a multimodal, so that you'd have to use for that type of thing. So, I mean, Ellen is right. We could for almost every single 5 out of the 6, we could do a scope of work alignment on. Again, this is keeping in mind, you know, the pork chop removal, intersection realignment, the TASA project, and the Learn Road roundabout. So, as far as the sidewalks go, that TASA grant's a little different. That is a federal grant, which we can always ask and see if something, you know, if they would accept scope of work realignment. Doesn't hurt to ask.
One of my concerns was that if we didn't follow through with the sidewalk plans,
So we have to pay the money back.
that we'd have to pay the money back.
We didn't get
Well,
the money to pay back yet.
So, correct. I
But-
mean,
We've already spent money.
Yeah,
That would then be
Mhm.
reimbursed by the grant.
right.
We didn't
correct.
spend anything that's gonna be reimbursed yet.
Haven't we in professional fees?
Engineer fees weren't covered.
correct. But I mean, ultimately, would we have engineered, you know, and obtained all this right of way? If not, and obviously we wouldn't have. But yes, the engineering and right of way money, or the right of way money comes back. The engineering does not. But John will have those updated totals for everyone tomorrow. But if we wanted to look at other safety enhancements when it comes to traffic in that direct area, is it worth asking? Could be.
Okay.
But then again, if you take the TASA part out, you know,
There's a lot.
that takes care of the one grant. But if there's any other questions on any other safety enhancements
Two lines.
in that area,
This
it
is out of pocket.
it is a possibility.
The only other side of the coin, Mike, in addition to what you said about monies spent, is also our ability in the future to be able to get funding.
Yeah, we don't want to have that
If they
stake
have
on us.
reversed, right, that's the other
Mhm.
ball that's up in the air that.
Yeah,
Okay, so that one.
yeah.
And
Oh,
then
we
there's-
did this for you and you stuck it in our back.
And that is of concern.
Mhm.
So giving it back versus what we have spent versus what we haven't spent, because some of the grants do allow for the engineering where some of them don't.
Mm.
And that's where it would kind of get a little cloudy
But we haven't
on, you know, who spent what and what is and isn't covered. I just sent this email out to everyone that was from our grants administrator. But I don't want to go too far without letting John properly
okay.
explain it to everyone.
All right. Well,
There are options.
I guess just leave it in there
Okay,
for now.
and then when do we have to? Our date for the hearing is when?
February 5th,
So we have to advertise or put this out 10 days
10 days in
before then.
advance.
You said January 26th, right? I think that's,
Yes. So,
so this has to be
yes,
completed before January 26th,
Monday. Yeah.
so we can get it out. And it goes in the paper, right? So you even need probably another day or two, right? Get it in.
We need to know by the 22nd for
Thursday.
open record.
A couple
Thursday.
days, yeah. Okay.
I mean, I would say, Ellen, we're on a time crunch. I would say leave it in the budget because we don't have to spend it. Just because
Right.
it's in the budget.
Yep.
We're anticipating that based on previous board, previous decisions, our decisions, whatever, that we're going to spend this much money on sidewalks. But it doesn't mean we have to,
Right.
just because it's in the
Well,
budget, but it's better
well,
to have it than not, right?
I said that about the roundabout and I was told it was approved because it's in the budget. I don't
think it.
know. But if that's true,
No,
So
it wasn't because it was in the budget.
accepting the resolution is moving forward with the grant
Okay, so it was the grant.
versus the budget, but aside from the TASA grant, that's the federal grant. That's
Well, I guess if we left it in there, we could change the scope.
so that
Then,
that
okay,
leave it in
okay.
there. Let's talk to John. I mean,
Talk about
you know,
changing.
maybe have a
Well-
workshop on it and talk about what the needs are.
Gotcha.
Long-term thoughts about sidewalks. One of the alignments of the sidewalks, where where that old bridge is shut down, that was, as part of that design, that was set to turn into a pocket park, for walkers on, where the sidewalk is. Maybe change that around. It's up to the board.
So
would it-
sidewalks versus just
It was ever
sidewalks elsewhere.
a topic for a workshop. I feel like this might be.
TASA.
Yeah.
But
I'm
all
not
the
a
other
workshop
ones,
guy,
if there's
but
any
yeah.
leftover monies,
I would
we
like
could,
your-
and we have, and especially with DCED, they're pretty liberal with us on scope of work realignments. Like we've done quite a few for the parks in the past, or safety enhancements for intersections.
Would any of these grants fix a bridge?
Yes.
Not TASA though, right? That's transportation alternative
Correct.
safety.
Yeah. TASA really, I
That would have to be
I
like
would
bus
highly-
shelters or something like that,
Yeah.
right?
Which one are you talking about?
the TASA grant that it's an alternative. So it's sidewalks, it's bike lanes.
Yeah, the $900,000.
So I'm saying which one would cover a bridge?
A lot of bus shelters.
Well,
like
Any of them, any of the other ones.
Unsafe bus shelters.
Well, except for the EDCI, that one can't.
The DCED one?
Yeah, they're all DCED except for the TASA and the LSA, but the one all the way to the right, if you're looking at that email that I just sent you.
I didn't get one yet. I don't know.
Oh, that's because I put Natasha on there twice.
Thank you.
There you go. You should have it. Again, anything further than that, I defer to John, and let's take a look at the costs of the intersection realignment versus the roundabout and see what extra money we have. The bridge that everyone's talking and concerned about is the Staten Road Bridge. We've gone back and forth with this, and again, I don't want to step on John's toes, but we're probably looking to replace that bridge versus what the DEP would like to see us do, which is reroute the stream for the additional 100 and 200 year storms. You're probably looking at $4.5 million to replace that bridge versus about $100,000 to put a Band-Aid on it, and that Band-Aid will last you 10 to 12 years, depending on the rainstorms. That being said, the amount of grants we'd have to roll up to fund that would be large. I mean, you look at how much we've saved up by putting, 6 grants together with these 3 intersection projects. That brings us close to $2 million.
So the Staten Road Bridge is that's where the swimming hole is.
So structurally, there's nothing wrong with the bridge. The wing walls are collapsing.
Are they?
Yeah. I
So-
mean,
so
the footers are fine. The head walls are fine. It's just the wing walls.
But didn't you guys go in there and do some work?
That was the Scott Run Bridge.
Oh, that was just
But didn't John say we could do very similar things at Staten?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did that at Scott Run, and then we've also been in there to pull debris, wood, that kind of stuff, but we haven't done any structural stuff in that bridge yet. But to Jared's point, maybe you spend 100 or so, fix it up, at the same time then start looking for grant money to start accumulating that
Over
money.
5-10 years.
So then you
Yeah.
have
Replace
your
it.
grand repair when the money comes in.
Now, is that a box culvert or is that just big pipes?
None. It's just a full bridge.
Oh, it's a bridge.
Full bridge.
It's a bridge. Okay. I thought it was a box culvert. That's
No.
okay.
The 47 million in transportation grants that Shapiro just announced, Lackawanna got 4.4 million to replace 2 bridges. Montgomery County got 3 million for bridge replacement. I had said something about this. Monroe County only got 1. I think it was Toby Hanna.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the next round, maybe our great senator and representatives can you know, advance this in discussions perhaps.
So
Because Monroe kind of got
Monroe
shafted.
did get money, but those were for county-owned bridges.
I mean, I like Pat's idea. You know what I'm saying? Do the
Yeah,
I
the
agree.
Band-Aid on Staten for $100,000, get us 10, 12 years and start, I mean, that's PFM's role anyway, right? Is to look for funding. So if we say, hey, here's a projection 10 years out,
GSL.
GSL.
So is the 100,000 for Staten in the budget?
No.
We're gonna have to put, is
Do
that
we
gonna,
need it right now though?
is that gonna happen in this year?
I
thought-
would,
I
I would
thought-
defer to John on that, because we initially have it, on the back burner for 2027 for the
Oh, I saw
rerouting.
That.
I thought it had to be done right away. That's why.
Yeah, I say we revisit for next year's budget
Mhm.
personally.
That's fine if
Yeah, I
it
mean,
doesn't have to
let's
be
talk
done
to
right
John
away.
first. See what
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all.
the engineer's point of view. I don't want
But I don't want to not
overstep.
budget and we need to do it this year. Okay.
next.
Yeah, I mean, the next is the police capital comprehensive, and again, that's pretty. Aside from the police wing, we talked about the LSA grant versus the vehicles. Depending on which one we get. The vests, a lot of our vests are at the end of their life, so we have $12,000 for replacement police vests. 2 laptops and a replacement desktop for the patrol room at $6,700. The MDTs, which is the laptops inside of the vehicles, are all at the end of their life with the Windows 10.
Mhm.
So we have 10 of them being replaced at the cost of $47,000. And last, we just have the SWAT materials for us to join the countywide SWAT to outfit and train 5 officers.
Okay.
That's it for police. Yeah, you'd like to take over for Public Works? Next page. Yeah.
I thought you'll do that, right?
For Public Works, the pickup truck. I'm wondering why we need another one.
The green truck that we have now, Ellen, is getting old, and one of the other trucks that we have, the Ranger, the Ford Ranger, that I've kind of kept together with bubble gum and Band-Aids. We're gonna be putting that up on Muni Bid. It's too far gone and it's undersized to be able to tow equipment, and like even just pulling a mower with that, it's really, you're right at the limit with what it can tow.
So the new one, what are we gonna use that for?
It'll be, so that will come into Public Works, and the Public Works truck will go over to the parks to replace the Ranger.
Is that hook truck still on here? I remember we had talked about that. I thought I saw it. Now
The
it's
hook,
not.
hook truck?
Yeah.
That's on the sewer capital.
Okay.
And who drives the pickup?
That's what I mean, the green truck is what we always call Jack's truck for Jack Manuel.
Oh.
So Jack pulls the trailers around for all the cutting that he does. And it does have the outfit for the snowplow as well.
How old is Jack? How old is the pickup that we're putting over to parks?
I can look it up for you. I have a schedule of all the trucks. It's getting there, Ellen. I mean, can we
More
milk
than
it along a
three,
little
more
bit?
than 3?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
yes,
It's either
yes.
2016 or 2017.
Oh, yeah. And it's got some hard miles on it. The tilt trailer, we're doing more paving internally now, again, saving the township money. And the milling head, that's really money well spent coming back to the township, because the more we can do internally, we save a tremendous amount of money with our guys doing that work. The lift, wheel, machine, and balancer, again, Jared and I expect that we'll be saving the township money outsourcing some of those repairs and maintenance items by doing them internally with the mechanics that we have with the proper equipment. It's a piece of equipment we don't have currently. We need it to be able to do that kind of work.
And you're gonna take on a lot of the preventative maintenance on the police vehicles too, correct,
Yeah.
with this?
We are.
Yes.
We are. The routine stuff, but
Yep.
it adds up, it's savings to the township, so, and we've got the staff, if we have the equipment, there's no reason we can't do it.
Do we have a 2027 preliminary capital budget, Jared? I think you mentioned something about something being on the 2027 capital budget.
So we have truck 8 on the capital budget for 2027 from the public works side.
You don't have to run through it. I just meant, do
And-
we have one that, you could maybe send us at some point?
Yeah, I mean, we don't
Oh, there it is.
we don't know what the costs are going to be. But if you'd like the big ticket items, yeah, we can send that out.
Just curious.
There again, other than truck 8 on the public works side, we're in pretty good shape with our bigger trucks. We've replaced several recently. We got the
And on
tandem and the
machinery.
single axle and the equipment as well. We got the new backhoe a couple of years ago. We have a new front end loader, replaced the old case. So we're kind of, again, out ahead of that in terms of cost there. So,
Yeah, and the backhoe is set to be paid off in 2027 as well.
Jared, I just wanted to ask you, on your new sheet, I think for the audit, I think we were gonna include the amusement tax audit. And I think it got left off on the revision.
Yeah, I wasn't sure
Yeah.
if
We
you
don't know
want
if we're gonna do it yet, but we wanted to put it in there just in case.
at least, yeah.
What amount did we
It was
just?
45, they quoted us.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it's not gonna be 45, well.
It was
hopefully.
40
Oh, 40.
as a worst cost, but
did we ever get a quote just for the two? For
that
Camelback and Great Wall?
so they can't give what each one is going to be. That's the 3 of them. We sent them all of our records since 2021, but they don't know what they're getting into until they're there. So that's why they had not to exceed 40,000 as a max.
I would just think if the quote for 40,000 was for 8 entities, I know the top 2 are the largest, but I still feel like we could safely put 30 or even 25. I'm not an audit cost expert, Ellen. You might be, but I don't know if we
Yeah,
need to
I
put
mean,
40 in
This
there.
is the bulk of it. I would just put it in there because they said
Okay.
not to exceed and whatever we save, we save. But this would be an audit on the combinations, right? Because I think I saw an email go around that said, why aren't we doing it to everybody? Because we're
about
zoning in
packages.
on the packages.
Right.
Thank you. Not everybody has packages, I would assume. I don't even know what all the amusements are. But I would assume they don't all have packages. So that's where we want to.
But if we don't know that for a fact, why are we not auditing everyone?
Well, then I would say if you just look at the amount of amusement tax that we get paid from all these people, I mean, the cost to audit some of them is gonna, be pretty close to the amount of amusement tax we're getting. I mean, not completely, but Camelback is worth auditing for sure. Great Wolf, I would argue, is worth auditing as well. To argue that any of the other ones are worth auditing, I just don't think you can make that argument from a cost perspective, because I don't think we're losing anywhere near the amount that we're potentially losing with those top 2 with any of the other. I think 6. I think there's 8, right?
Yeah.
That's just my perspective. I'm open to another, but
I just think we're opening ourselves up
So
If
we'll
we-
just put
if
that
we
in there as a
pick
contingency
on
to
two-
be safe.
versus all.
I don't think we're picking if we say what we're auditing packages. Whoever happens to have them gets the audit.
But how are you gonna find out if they have packages or not? Because what you just said was you don't need to.
Depending on what kind of
some are public. I mean,
It would depend on what kind of business, or we would ask them.
it's totally within our purview to decide if it's cost effective to audit someone or not. I don't think we're, discriminating, if that's what you're insinuating. I think
I would just be worried,
Mhm.
because if you don't have all the facts on what every single one offers, and then you only choose 2 out of, what'd you say, 8 or 9, without having all the facts, I think we're getting ourselves into a real big lawsuit.
Yeah, like suppose
Well, I think-
suppose the Swiftwater has a package where they get your ski passes.
Well, skiing isn't taxable.
Yeah. Yeah, skiing is a carve out from the legislature from
So we get taxed
1996.
for going down on two sticks. Okay.
Correct, or a snowboard, but
Or one board.
anything
Or
else like
one.
a splash and stay type package are the big ones. Spa and stay, anything like that. Anything that charges an admission is applicable to the amusement tax.
I mean, if you want to ask Leo if that opens us up to any sort of potential litigation.
Leo plans on reporting on that tomorrow.
Okay.
We could set a threshold and just say, you know, anything above this X threshold in dollars of, you know, amusement tax paid or whatever, you know, and that could be how we determine, and that way it's not discriminatory. We're just saying, you know, if you're above this cutoff, any businesses that are above this cutoff would be, you know, the ones that we want to audit, because those are the ones that we're going to recoup our, you know,
Right.
we're not saying we're
I-
going after these two particular, we're just saying we're going after the ones.
It's not fair to the
above.
taxpayers
I think
to
that-
audit everybody.
I think that this discussion should happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we're having a BOC meeting and Leo's here, because we're
Mhm.
literally deliberating on whether we're gonna do this or not.
So we'll
But-
leave the 40 in there, I guess. and-
Yeah, just as a contingency to be safe. If Leo says everyone has to be included, it's already in the budget, and that way everyone's covered.
Okay, that's all I had. Does anybody else have any questions?
I'm good.
So I guess Jared, you and Gina will send this back out and we'll do our last run through, and then probably not really. We'll know after our meeting tomorrow if we need to change anything or whatever.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
On the general fund, uncommitted funds transfer of 1013 as an expense, and then incoming into the capital 1013, is that the 1 million that you were referring to, Ellen?
Yeah.
So that's already part of these budgets though.
That's the transfer over to capital. There may be a transfer out of the reserves to cover the expenses. We're not really sure yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna defer to Gina.
Jared will come up with that number once he changes all the numbers. Yeah.
Okay. I was only asking because when I was saying before about the 3.5, you kept saying that there was still $1 million that had to go out. And it's right here. That's
Yeah, but it's in and out. It's a wash on there.
It is.
no, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it was the way that it was being discussed before. It was like it was
Oh.
not on here and we still had to send that out.
Oh,
But it's on here.
yeah.
Okay.
It's just the way I broke my revenue into current year versus not current. That's. Okay, then, are we good? I have a motion to close the work session.
Second.
Favor?
Yep.
Aye. Opposed? Anybody want to stay?
Okay, the show's over.
I was having so much fun.